This is rather concerning. Plastics and autism. A study highlights the BPA's potential impact on the boy's brain development. BPAs. Well, BPAs is a chemical they use in hard plastics, including babies' bottles. Anyway, while here, please boot the whole like button. Now, I occasionally do videos about certain things that affect our health, like PFA chemicals, your polyfluoroalkaloids and stuff like that. But I didn't know about these BPAs as well. Now, we've been exposed to these chemicals for a very long period of time. And it does make me wonder if the companies using these chemicals to produce their products actually knew about their effects on the human body. Because I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, it's not just an allegation, obviously, but you know, I still wouldn't be surprised. Now, I'm not a specialist or anything like that, but this kind of thing, it really concerns me because we're surrounding ourselves with all these toxins. And it's not just these BPAs and plastics or the PFAs in your water. There's around 1,000 different types of PFAs, which is deeply concerning and affecting our fertility levels and all sorts of stuff. It's, you know, it is pretty serious stuff. And it's not just that. You've got urea formaldehyde, which is used in contraplaqué, plywoods and formicas. There's a gas, you see. These plastics give off these gas. They're toxic carcinogens. And we live surrounded by this stuff. We live surrounded by electronics and technology, you know. And the components are made with toxic materials, and they're all getting warm, giving off these gases, and we kind of like just accept as nothing, like it doesn't matter. It does matter because it affects your health, especially in developing bodies, in young children. Now, they've found these BPA chemicals in the wombs of mothers, of children who are autistic. This isn't something to be ignored. Like much of this stuff that we don't concern ourselves with. Now, I'll just read this to you here because it says just what BPAs are. Now, BPA is a component of hard plastics that's been used for food decades, and because BPA is found in plastics used for food and some drink containers, many people are exposed to levels of BPA every day, and it builds up and builds up and builds up. It's a small exposure over long periods of time. And you could say the same about like asbestosis, which is asbestos fibres are basically they're like double barbed, you see, if you talk about the dangerous asbestos, like blue asbestos, what have you. And it could enter into your lungs, into the pleural layers of your lungs, and as you breathe in, breathe out, these barbs scratch, and create scar tissue. It's not a disease, really, is it? It's literally there's a foreign body in there damaging you, and your body keeps trying to heal. And needless to say, the alveoli, it reduces in volume, which means you're reducing your lung capacity over a period of time. Now, like for instance, asbestosis, those fibres stay in your body forever, and it's been found with these the PFA chemicals and these BPAs, etc. Once you got them there. We've really damaged ourselves. And it can explain a lot of the potential conditions that we seem to be we're a bit more and more prolific. Because we didn't know. Well, I say we didn't know. I do wonder if, for instance, companies like DuPont, etc., whether they knew, and apparently they did, or has been alleged as such, for a very long period of time, but they carried on doing what they're doing. Now, autism, for instance, is a neurodevelopmental disorder. So it's at a time when a baby or child is growing up and it causes problems in the brain. And it's diagnosed based on difficulties and sort of social communication and repetitive and restrictive behaviours. This brings me to my granddaughter. Now, my little granddaughter, Tochi, you might have seen her if you've been in previous videos and stuff, and she's a little sweetie, she's a lovely little girl, but she does have attention issues. And something we noticed when she's visiting here, I was in my laser room printing off signs for a rewarding project, and she came in there with us, where the other kids in there as well. They looked to watch what was going on with the glasses on and stuff like that, you know. And she was staring at the computer screen, and there's lasers over there, and it's literally just scanning. A bit like watching like an old internet system, you know, like a 28-bit internet system. With the picture was scanning on an old dot matrix printer. You know what I mean? And she was there for 40 minutes, just sitting there, watching the screen. I wouldn't say that's normal behaviour for a child. That's a sign. She hasn't been diagnosed or anything, but she's been referred, but you know how long that takes in the UK. Now, we think she's got autism. We do, you know, and although it's quite mild in her because she's a very clever girl, she's also a year or 2 years, because my other granddaughter's 3 or 4 years ahead at school. She's been considered for Norwich School of Girls on a scholarship. But Tochi's really ahead as well. It's only because their mother's very, very proactive with education. Brilliant mother, she really is. You know, but anyway, so they've get back on track. So we feel that she's got autism, and is it a case of these BPAs? What they're saying, it's not because necessarily because the BPAs, according to the study, and it's a case of correlation, how they both affect each other. It's like fertiliser for the autism to come out and bloom effectively during development stages of the brain and what have you. Now, what they did is, got written up here actually, the researchers looked at a group of this is in Australia, of 1,074 Australian children, and roughly half of those were boys, and they found 43 of the children had autism diagnosis by the age 7 to 11, and the average age was around 9, and they collected urine from 847 mothers of the same, you know, late in their pregnancy, and measured the amount of BPA that then focused. It shouldn't be there, right? It shouldn't be there. And they found it was in there. They had the highest samples with the highest levels of this BPA chemical. It shouldn't be there, you know? So they also measured gene changes by analysing the blood from the umbilical cord of the birth, and was to check analyse enzyme activity. It's about hormones, isn't it? Activity, which is associated with oestrogen levels, estrogen levels, and children with gene changes, and by indicate lower levels of estrogens were classified as having low aromatase activity. And the team found a link between high maternal BPA levels and a greater risk of autism in boys with low aromatase activity. In the final analysis, the researchers said that there were 2 girls with autism diagnosis. They couldn't basically put girls in the mix. That's the same with me. I got fibromyalgia. I mean, if you look at any of the studies regarding that, because once you've got something like this, you obviously want to do your research. Most of the studies are based on women, because more women get fibromyalgia than women that must be on my feminine side. Anyway, so what is the take-home message, I suppose, on this? Well, let's find the link between these 2 factors, I suppose. And in the case of sort of BPA exposure in the womb, and autism, and neurodevelopment of the brain, what have you, and one potentially could cause the other, and hence the autism, you know. And the researchers they're looking into this further. They want to expand on their methods of researching and what they've been doing, and they're based on they've done mouse studies as well. It doesn't sound very pleasant, but anyway, they have. And they propose that high levels of BPA can dampen the enzyme, the aromatase enzyme, and it'll alter the estrogen levels and production, what have you, in the body, modify the neurons in the brain, so where the brains grow. And these children are autism sufferers, generally speaking. It's not saying, the study's not saying, because they don't know 100% yet, that it's BPAs are a direct cause of autism. What they're saying is that there is a distinct correlation between autism and the BPA, which they would expect that it is. That the BPAs are a serious issue. Now, what happens legally regarding this? Then we've seen it with, say, for instance, I don't know, the glyphosate, Roundup weed killers, what have you. One French farmer who died, he took them to court and he won his case. So, that could stand precedent for that particular chemical exposure. But what if, for instance, you've got all these kids with autism, if they can find that direct link with the BPAs, what are the companies that produces that chemical and it's used in these plastics? How the hell are you going to... Well, you're not going to sue China, are you? They won't pay any attention to you. But how are you going to get any monetary recompense? Because effectively you've been poisoned by these companies. Because there's probably an alternative chemical or something they could use in these hard plastics. I wouldn't be a bit surprised. But yeah, anyway. There's a link between hard plastics and autism in developing brains of young children, especially boys. It's a bit worrying, I would say, wouldn't you? Please leave it in the comments down below. Because this study is quite frankly going to take a very long time to be peer-reviewed and what have you, and set down in stone so something's actually done about it. Now, some countries are removing the BPAs or basically making it illegal to use them in certain products, and that includes things like baby bottles and stuff like that. I think it's Australia for one. And so some countries like Australia are doing something because they can see the risk, but it's probably too late in many cases. So anyway, you tell me. Please leave it in the comments down below. I do read the comments, but you probably already know. Maybe subscribe to the channel and the little bell icon so you can have a fuzzy feeling in your pocket every time I upload another depressing video. Anyway, so, if you want to support the channel, you can do that on Patreon or buy us a coffee. The links down below. But also we're doing a rewilding here in France. We're planting no trees, okay? For the animal habitats and what have you, but also planting trees is a nice thing to do. It's a good idea anyway, isn't it? We all need oxygen after all. And if you'll be a part of that, there's a GoFundMe link down below, for which we'll plant a tree on your behalf, but also I'll make a sign to go with your tree. It can be in memory of a loved one, for instance, or just your name, maybe a pet, or maybe a present for Christmas. Instead of sending a Christmas card, which takes up about 1 billion trees every single year. Christmas cards, yeah, great, isn't it? Anyway, it's time for me to go, so toodaloo, Toodaloo.